Going. All right, welcome back, friends, to the Discovering Your Calling podcast. I am your host, Sherry Miter, and today I am so honored to be here with my husband's, we call him cousin, kind of sort of cousin, Mike Newhouse. And I'm so thrilled about this conversation because if you've been listening to the podcast, we are normally talking about people having their calling through their career, whether it be that they start a new job or they switch a career, but it's always tied to the things that brings in the paycheck and that pays the bills. And today with Mike, we're going to talk about what he does outside of his job that pays the bills, but it fills him up and it really brings him a purpose. And I'll let him share all the details about that. So welcome to the podcast, Mike. If you want to just introduce yourself and tell everybody what you do right now to pay the bills, and then we'll get into the fun stuff.
Well, first of all, Sherry, thanks for having me. My name is Michael Newhouse. I am a representative for Flags for Fallen. I'm the representative for New York State. I fix cars for a living. I do auto body repair. I've done it for 30 years or so. The job pays the bills and, it's given me a good life, but it's also lacked a lot of things. It doesn't give me fulfillment or any of that. It just basically does that. It's like a Jeep. It's utility. It does the job and that's about it.
It's probably a lot of Jeep owners that would argue that point.
The old military Jeeps, they did one purpose.
Yeah.
That's basically what my job does. And it is what it is. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that feel the same way. Mm-hmm. But what I do outside of work is really what is my passion. I think that it's where I need to be. And it's basically running for people that have passed away. I think there's a need for, people to reach out in this world today and just do something that's out of the ordinary. And I like doing it. So, I mean, that's basically what it is. It sounds simple, but it's really not.
Yeah. And that's, I've watched this on Facebook, your posts and everything. And as I watch what you do, I realize it's way more than just going out and running a race and carrying the flag. And that's what I really am, grateful to get into the conversation today around that. But let's start at the beginning. Like, how did you get started with this?
Well, it all started about 9 years ago. I started running in general. I wanted to get healthier and I started going out and just adding distance and I met a lot of great people and I loved it. I found that it was good for me health-wise. I'm 53 now. It's been great mentally, physically, and everything else. I started running through one of my friends, Andy Laporta, who he ran with the American flag. He still does a yearly run with a group for veterans every year called Run for the Fallen. And me and him would run on Sundays together with our flags just for fun. We would just take our flags and we'd run. Huh. Well, it's funny because people started stopping us saying, "What are you doing?" and we'd be like, "Well, we're running with the American flag." "Well, I'm a veteran. Thank you very much." Aww. So I started talking to him like I do. And I started saying, "You know what? I'm going to dedicate today's run to you." So I would get his name and I would post a picture of him saying, he served in the Air Force, Navy, whatever. Huh. And, we'd post it up and dedicate that run for them and their service. And that was great. We did that for the longest time. And we still run together. One day I was home and I was going through Facebook and I saw that one of the local news stations was reaching out to someone who was a runner in New York that could run for someone who had passed away from Saratoga, and her name was Abigail Jenks, and they were looking for somebody to run a race in her honor. And I said, that's me. I don't know why. I just happened to see it. So I reached out to the group. It was called Flags for Fallen, and the founder, his name is Richard Clark, had started this Flags for Fallen, where he would run for people and give them the American flag at the end of the race. So he was looking for somebody in New York that could do it for Abigail. She was a paratrooper who passed away on a training jump. She had jumped from a helicopter, had a hard landing. The chute filled back up with air, and the ropes were around her neck, and she died. I know this for a fact. Her mom had told us later that this is what happened. So I had to go to Mary's house and get the flag that Richard had sent to her family so that I could run with it. So I had texted Mary, we connected, and I went to her house. And, I was kind of nervous because, it had just happened. Her daughter had just passed. She was only 21 years old.
Wow.
And so Mary had opened the door and welcomed me in her house. And I says, "Hi, I'm Mike Newhouse. I'm here to pick up the flag to run it." And of course, I was clueless. I was just going to run this flag and hand it back. And that was the end of the day. Well, that's not what happened. Mary was so kind and generous, and she's like, I want you to come in Abby's room, and I want to show you things that Abby has done. So she brought me into this bedroom, and there was pictures, artwork that Abby had drawn. She was a gifted artist. There was pictures, hundreds of them. And there was just pictures of all kinds of different things, and animals and birds and just you name it, it was there. And we looked through photo albums of Abby growing up, and Mary had just, all she wanted to do was talk about her daughter, So like, I'm in tears, literally. So I went from, I'm just going to do this run. Now I'm in this home with this woman who's grieving her daughter, still in shock, no doubt. And I'm just this guy that fixes cars for a living who runs, and I'm listening to her, and she's showing me, all these different things, and how Abby loved animals, and Abby loved, she used to rescue, strays. She's like, "Oh, Abby, come home with a cat," or "Abby, come home with rabbits," and like literally constantly rescuing things. And she told me how she started tattooing even in the service, and she was in the Army. And she was so good at art, she started tattooing the other guys in the Army for free. She was tattooing them, and this and that and the other. So, she's talking to me, and she's telling me all about this, all about Abby and everything else. And I'm sitting there, and my eyes are watering, literally listening to her. I'm telling you, as God is my witness, we sat there for probably almost 3 hours talking. And when I left that day, I remember driving home, and I said, whatever just happened, my life just changed direction. It just, something happened that I can't even explain it. It was incredible. And I drove home. I remember that night, even just laying in bed, just like, I don't believe it. So I would text her, about the race coming up. And I'm like, "Mary, I gotta tell you, it's the weirdest thing happened. I'm sitting outside of my house, and this red cardinal keeps landing outside of my truck, on the truck, constantly landing there." I go, "It's the weirdest thing." And she left. She goes, she sent me this picture. Abby drew red cardinals. She drew them. And she's like, "That's a sign." I'm like, "Oh my God."
Wow.
She was really in my head,
Yeah.
And so, we would continue to talk day to day until race day. And that was incredible. I did a 10-mile run for her, and she was there, and she cheered me on right from the beginning. She had signs, And I remember running that 10-miler,
Mhm.
and, it was almost magical because this beautiful soul I felt was around me the whole
Wow.
time.
Huh.
And when I got done, Mary gave me this.
Oh.
This is a medal that Abigail actually
Earned.
designed,
Oh.
and they made this in her platoon.
Oh,
And
wow.
she gave me this medal. This medal
Wow.
is probably the most heartfelt medal I ever got of
Wow.
all of them. And she wanted me to have that. But
You can hold that up to the.
yeah, this is if you can see
Yeah.
it's a beautiful, it's
cool.
incredible.
Wow.
I hang it on my wall with the picture. And so the race was magical. I mean, she was there in the beginning, she was there at the end, people were cheering.
Yeah.
When we finished, I crossed the line, it was pouring rain, I remember, but it didn't matter.
Yeah.
And they gave me a medal, and I put it on Mary's head. and then at the end, we always present the flags to the family. So we fold it like they do military style and actually present it to the family. One of the things also with the way I do it is I don't want the tribute runs to be a sad extension of a funeral. It is a celebration, and it's a celebration of their life. So basically, when it's done, you feel good. We celebrated her life, and everyone knew who she was that day.
Yeah.
And that's really what we try to do, with everyone that does it. So.
Yeah. And I love that, because I feel that, like, again, watching, I haven't been there in person yet. But
you will.
Yes. Yes, we are going to run with you.
Yes, it's coming.
Yes.
I got plans for that.
But you can sense that, when I see your posts and stuff on Facebook, that it's not, even though it is about losing somebody, which is totally a sad event.
Right.
It really
it
is
is
about a celebration of that person's life, and feeling that, it feels like to me, and this is just through social media, that you do feel their presence there.
You totally do.
Yeah.
There's no question that I feel it.
Yeah.
There's none. And when I do training runs up to the race, I feel it. And it's weird. And I've told people this, when I'm running, every person that I've run for in the past, even their faces pop up in my head. And I don't even feel myself running anymore.
Wow.
And I can run super fast and not even realize that I'm running. So I run fully with heart, and it's really, if somebody saw me halfway out, sometimes I'll be out there running, and I'll be thinking about someone and be like, if you really knew what was in my head right now, but it's one after the other. I mean, with Abby, I actually ran 2 races for Abigail. I ran a July 4th race too. I ran 2 for her because she was from Saratoga. So there was one in Saratoga, and I wanted to do one in Saratoga for her also. And her sister and brother were there. And I got a picture with, her sister and brother in the flag representing Abby. So
nice.
Abby's spirit, and I told this to Mary the other day, I said, Abby is the reason I do what I do. Her spirit lives on through me. And all the other angels just are added.
Yeah. Was she a runner?
Abby was not. She never mentioned it or not. She wasn't. She did so many things in her.
Obviously is pretty.
She was so talented.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe she was the first paratrooper female.
Wow.
And when Mary told me, this was open to the world, the details of how she passed, one of the reasons she said that she needed to know that was because it made her feel a little bit better, that knowing that she was knocked out when it happened and she didn't feel anything.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of the moms that I talked to doing this one of the things they want to know is how did they die? If it's a tragic death, was it quick?
Right.
And you do get a little solace from that.
Right. I imagine so. Right.
And it's hard to believe, like, what people on the outside would say, why would you want to know that? But they want to know that.
Right.
You know, nobody knows what a grieving mother thinks.
Right. Right.
And so Mary has been a great help to me also with future, you know, recipients and their families, and I can always reach out to her also
to connect,
you know, for advice. And because one of the things she says is whatever you say can't really console, nothing you can say can console them, you know, in that way. Talking to them is great,
right?
Anyone who has suffered loss,
right?
But talking is the best thing, and I'm good at talking. I can talk and talk and talk. You don't have to say anything, you know, and I can just go on forever. But that's one of the main things you get from it. And you know, she's just a strong woman, you know, and I think the biggest fear that a lot of people that I meet doing this also is that the fear of that their loved ones will be forgotten. So I feel that this is something that keeps their memory alive, and more than anything, if they can figure a way to do something with a strength that their loved one had to continue their life in memory.
Right.
Like I do with my brother, who, you know, passed away at 40 years old. Everyone loved, you know, him. He was the type of person that, you know, everybody wanted to be around. He was extremely funny. And, you know, humor is something that I try to do to keep his memory alive. And those are the things that I think are the best thing for healing.
Yeah.
You know, is to keep their memory going somehow, because you can't dwell in the past, but if you feel that they're still with you, which I believe they are, there's no question.
Yeah.
You know, the signs, you know, everyone sees signs, everyone feels signs. If you look for them, they're there.
And that's the key, looking for them.
You got to
be open
Yes.
that you can feel them. Yeah. My mom passed away when I was 30 something. She was 58. And yeah, totally. A lot of what I do today is because of her short life, you know, so I totally understand it, but I totally feel through her, or, you know, that she works through me and all of that. So totally understand.
But she's still living through you. And that's how I feel.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the best thing for anyone to do. You know, anyone consider, you know, I don't want to go too far off base, but, you know, we all know people that may have just given up. You know, my wife's stepfather did that when her mom passed, and he just gave up life. And it was quite evident, and he's gone. So we've all know people that's happened to. But you know, it doesn't help anyone. And I always think of him as, okay, he's up there looking at me. If I'm going to sit down here and be, you know, pitiful and just know, he's going to be like, get off here, you know what, and go. Yeah, exactly. And I feel blessed that I can do what I do. You know, not everyone can run, not everyone can, but you don't have to go out and run. You don't have to do this, you don't have to do that. Do something that they were good at, or you know, whatever, to keep their memory going. You know, that's really it.
And so, speaking of running, I mean, you shared with me earlier, you really have only been, because a lot of people may be thinking, well, he's probably been running his whole life. And yes, we are. This conversation did need a cocktail. So
Thank you, Katie, by the way.
For the suggestion. And Tom for getting the beer. So
that was her idea.
That's a good one. Where was I going with that? Totally lost track with beer. That's what happens, right? What was it going? Oh, that they may be thinking, well, that's cool that you do this running, because you've probably been running your entire life. So let's clear that misconception there, Mike.
No, that didn't happen. I hated running. I never ran. I didn't like running in school. I hated it. About 9 years ago, I just felt it was time to make a change in my my
Mhm.
life as far as physically. I felt like I just didn't feel well. I said, you know what? I don't know why. I'm going to start running. So
Mhm.
a couple of older friends of mine that were runners, they told me how to get started, and I just started running little bits at a time and adding little bit at a time,
Mhm.
and a quarter mile into a half to whatever. And the 5Ks went to the 6 milers, the 10 milers, the half marathons, the full marathons. So I've done all those. I've done 4 fulls. None of that actually, and it's good for me. I do love running, and it does help clear the mind, and I
Mhm.
feel better. And I do love going out on a Sunday and just running aimlessly.
Uh-huh.
That's fun to me, and meeting new people. I love
Uh-huh.
meeting people. I love
Uh-huh.
talking to people on the street. I talk to people all the time. I don't care where you are, who you are. I
Uh-huh.
will talk to you. So I enjoy that, but it still wasn't um fulfillment,
Mm.
so to speak, or a calling. Like I said, when I first did the first run, I knew when I left that house that day, I knew what I needed to do.
Do. Mhm.
And it just started, boom, right from that first run I did for Abby.
Yeah.
And I I don't know how to else to explain it. And then as they come, um I generally pick, people will ask me,
That was going to be my question. Like, how
yeah,
does this come together now that you're doing this? Like, are they asking you? Are you approaching them?
sometimes the founder, Richard Clark, he will ask if he has someone in New York that he needs, someone to run for. I've done a couple, a few for him that way, or family or friends will ask me, or I will see something and I'll know I have to reach out to that person.
Mm.
And I can't, that's another thing that happens, that I just absolutely have to reach out to that person and get, I bully my way into hey, I'm so and so and I'm going to do this. And it always works out. I've never had someone say no to this, so that's basically how it happens. I have this season already 5 coming up,
Wow.
and basically I have to figure out the dates and the times.
Mhm.
There's only so many races, and then try to schedule it all, to schedule it all in. But I love doing them. I love meeting the people. The people
Mhm.
are the best, and they
Yeah.
become family.
Yeah.
They really do. Once you do something like this, one of the moms that I talked to, she said to me, it was a great compliment. She said, what you did for my daughter, um, you'll always have a part in my heart.
Mm. Mhm.
And I've heard, a lot of different things like that from people.
Mhm.
And that's what keeps me
Yeah.
going personally,
Yeah.
and they don't realize they're helping me also.
Mm.
Um, when I lost my brother, he was 40. We were best friends. Um, I was with him the night before.
Mm.
The next day he went to work and collapsed. And so I know what that, and I'm going to use this phrase that my friend, actually, Katie Cavosi, told me this.
Mm.
Poof, you're gone. That
Mm.
is one of the phrases that I've heard from others. Poof, you're gone. And that's exactly how it was. You're
Right.
with somebody and then they're gone. And there was no sickness, there's
Mm.
nothing. There's no nothing at all. They're just disappeared.
Mm.
So, in that respect, I do know what that feels like.
Right.
So I can help. Look, this happened to me, and it does give me a little bit of leeway of that. I know what you're going through, but I don't know what it's like to lose a daughter or son tragically. I have a lot of people that I've run for that have they've had tragedies. They've
Mhm.
lost their sons, daughters, and tragedies. So that's one of my hopes, is to get these guys all together,
Mm.
and try to connect them,
Mhm.
because I mean, nobody can help somebody else more than somebody who's been through it.
Right.
So
Right.
whatever the case may be, we got you covered.
Right.
That's what I'm
Right.
hoping.
Right. Right. So kind of take us through the whole process that you do, because it is so much more of, as we've already said, it's so much more than just running a race and carrying the flag. So what is that like if you're connecting with somebody for the first time? What happens through the whole thing that
Well,
really gives you this purpose now?
Yeah. If it's somebody that I never met, I reach out to them, tell them, I run for an organization. Well, so we say it's an organization, it's a group of runners across the country, basically. But the flag is what gets you in the door of any place. The flag brings unity. The flag's for everyone. We run for anybody. We believe that the flag, everyone, it's our flag. So no matter what happened or whatever, we run for you. And so what I'll do is I'll reach out and I'll say, look, I do this. I would like to run a race and celebrate your loved one's life. So they're like, well, what exactly happens here? No, well, I basically carry the flag and I fly it the whole time that I run the race. I always make an announcement that I'm going to do the race, and so their friends can come or whatever, and they could be cheering throughout the entire course, or they can be at the end. And I'll finish the race. I fold it military style and present it to the family, and then they have the flag forever. All the flags that I run have the name of the person on it. My mother puts all the names on the flag. So when I run for somebody, my mom puts their name on it, and then I have it, I run it, and then I present it to them. It's basically just letting a complete stranger know that that another complete stranger, which we are in generally a lot of times, cares. And that's really the message that we try to do. So, but I get so much more from it, because by the end of it, we're no longer complete strangers. And that I can tell you. We're friends. We're, a lot of times we're more family than family is family. And that's the truth, because we, for whatever reason, we a lot of the people share whatever with me, and I'm grateful for that, for whatever reason. And I like to reach out to them, even on holidays. Holidays are really tough for people that have lost people, so I try to reach out to them as much as I can. So I'm like on the phone, my wife's like, what are you, I'm texting this winter, or I'm doing it, but I was saying Merry Christmas, Happy Thanksgiving, whatever, hope you're doing good. And
their birthdays, like the first year,
I try to as much as I can. I'll post their loved ones on my Facebook page, that is their heavenly birthday. I think it's important they have that too. I try to do as much as I can, after the race. I don't just, it goes on beyond that. It's
not like, oh, the race is done.
The race is done. I'm done. No, I'm here. You're stuck with me forever. So if I do a run for you, you're stuck with me. You might get a text out of the blue. It's me, or I'll send you a stupid joke or something. That's just what I do. So, but they love it. And, I also run my training runs, and I dedicate it to them too. So out of the blue, they make it a training run for someone I've already run for before. So like out of the blue, this weekend, I'm doing a training run for Linda King's 4 daughters that were lost in limo tragedy. So I'm going to do that for her. It's just, I think it's just cool, and it gives me motivation too, especially when it's freezing out.
Right. To go out and run.
Yeah, exactly. I got to do it. So this is what, this is why I do what I do. But, I have, this is a picture. I don't know. I can show it. This is a picture. I just want to touch on this one more time of Abigail and Mary. And the reason I chose this one here is because the world only saw Abigail Jenks in uniform, on the news and everything else. Everything else was a paratrooper. And but I got to know Abigail as a young girl. She was a 21-year-old young woman who loved animals, so those are the things that I learn when I run for people, because I want to learn about them.
Yeah.
So when I run for them, I'm running for them. I'm not just, I can't even come up with the right word, but I really do run for them.
You've connected with them.
Yes,
You've
I connected
with
I have
who
to,
they are.
Yeah, I like to
who they
connect.
are.
I connect with everyone that I try to learn as much as I can, and that's what makes it special too. I always keep their pictures on my back. So during the race, people will see their picture on my back, so they know that I'm running for that person with the flag. And that's just another thing that's unique about what we do also.
Yeah. And I know we talked about this when we were just chatting earlier, that talk about connecting. One of the things that you've been able to do is also connect the parents or connect the people who've lost a loved one. So talk just, a little bit about that, Mike, and that extra.
Probably one of the biggest things that I would love to see happen is to connect people. I can run the race. I can, give as much as, we can do for that day, and become friends and stay friends and all this other stuff. But I really, truly believe that connecting the people is probably the biggest magic that could happen. One of the moms that I'm friends with too, her name's Jill Perez. Her son, Matthew Coons, perished in the limo tragedy. She's a wonderful woman. And my God, I talk to her a lot. And when I was talking to Mary one day about something, and she was struggling, and I said to myself, I'm talking to Jill, I'm talking to Mary. I'm like, why can't these two talk together? Because they would be perfect. One lost, and both lost someone tragically, and also heavily media coveraged. Both of them.
Right.
Both of them were just, and still to this day are on the, So I'm like, I asked Jill, I said, would you mind becoming a friend with my friend Mary? Absolutely. No questions. So I gave her a number, and she texted her. They become best friends. And this picture here, I brought this picture because this is a picture of Jill, me, Mary. This is Spencer. She's a friend of Mary's, and this is her daughter. Okay. And we went to dinner, and all of us were together, and it was an unbelievable night. It was. I can't even, and I can show you the picture. I don't know if you can see it.
Connecting the moms.
Yes. So it was, absolutely insane. We talked and talked and talked, and the conversations were just unbelievable. And I never felt so good about doing it, because I didn't know if that was going to work. I'm just winging it. But I'm like, oh my God, because I love both of them. They're both wonderful. I tell them both that all the time. I love you guys. I really do. I really do. Mary and Jill are just, they're so awesome. And Jill's daughter, Ashley, she's another one that I've gotten to know. She and her brother were extremely close. And, Matthew was a bodybuilder, and Ashley also works out all the time. And Ashley has just taken it to the next level, and she's doing the motivation, and she's on, doing the
Uh-huh.
videos and the workouts and everything. And I'm like, you make me so like proud of you, because you're carrying on your
Oh, his
brother's
brother. Yeah,
spirit,
yeah.
and she's doing
That's right.
amazing. And I'm like, it's insane. It's just beautiful to see it.
Mhm.
And so we talk too, and it's really nice. It's really nice. So yeah, one of my goals is to see more of that. I want to see more and more people connect and talk. And one of the reasons I started my Facebook page, remembering after after the race,
Mhm.
would be for people to like feel comfortable, you know, um, coming out there and saying, yeah, does anyone else feel this way today? And I'm hoping down the road that happens.
Right.
Because I think that's really
Right.
cool.
Right.
Because there's so many cool, amazing people that are there.
Right.
And I have them there. They're just
Right.
they're not
It'll-
ready yet.
right,
To come
right,
out, and they will,
right.
because I will just pester everyone
Right,
until they
right.
do. But you know what I mean?
Right,
But I
right.
think eventually that's my goal. That's what I'd
Right.
like to see.
Right.
Because it's great. Because I mean, I have no trouble at all saying, look, the other day I posted something about signs of seeing things, or
Mhm.
I saw someone that looked like my brother once.
Right.
It was this crazy experience. And everyone's had had that happen.
Right.
So
Right.
that's just in the future. I think that's going to be really cool.
Right.
Right.
Right. And because nobody understands really what you've gone through,
No.
unless the losing a child,
Yes.
losing a mom,
Yep.
losing a dad, losing a brother. There is that understanding when you've also experienced that, because we can say, oh, I understand what you're going through. I
Right.
lost my mom. But if I'm saying that to somebody that just lost their child, that's not the same thing at all.
No.
At all.
No, not at all.
So I think the
No.
connection piece that you're
That's what I'm hoping
doing,
for.
and you're looking to do more.
Yeah,
It's such
there's
a vital piece.
there's so many people there, like I've said,
Mhm.
there's literally an arsenal of people,
Right.
and they want to help.
Right.
Anyone I've asked, they're like, anything I can do to
Right.
help. Now they're grieving themselves, but
it's
they
probably
want to help.
therapeutic. It's
Yes.
therapeutic for them
I-
to be able to
Exactly.
serve
Oh my God.
others too.
It's so
Right.
therapeutic for them. It
Right.
is. It was for me. I love talking about my brother. One of the biggest things you can do is talk about
Right.
talk about him.
Yes. I
Talk
love
about him.
talking about my mom. and what
Yeah.
happened. Yeah.
And keeping that, oh my God, they did this or they did
Yeah,
that, or
right.
but the different like I said, different things that happen to different people, there's the connections there, because I have the arsenal of people, like, it's there.
Right. Right.
Whatever it is, however they passed, or whatever it is, there's someone there.
Right.
And I think that's really the key to connection.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I know our time is coming to an end here, but I would like to talk about two specific runs that you did. But if there's another one that you want to talk about, because a lot of people listening are from all over the place, so they don't know when we talk about the limo accident. Local people know.
Okay.
But a lot of people don't. So, because I assume that's probably the largest, most impactful one you've experienced, or
Yeah.
so maybe
it
can you
was.
share a little bit about what was the limo accident, for those that don't know, and then talk a little bit about what that race, and I know you do that, you've done it multiple years. So what has that felt like? What did that mean to you and for the people
Well,
involved?
when I decided I wanted to do a race honoring the 20 people who passed in the limo tragedy.
And can you tell, like, for those that don't know, like, what, in a brief, like, what was the limo tragedy?
The limo tragedy was basically 17 passengers and one driver in a limousine, and they were coming down a hill. The limo was unsafe, lost its brakes, and crashed, killing 2 pedestrians on the way. All 20 people died. So there was a loss of 20 souls. all at once.
And they were young, like in the limo. They were
there was
young, celebrating a
all
birthday, right?
there was a celebration. There was a lot of multiple brothers and sisters. There was whatever. I mean, it was just awful. You know, one woman lost 4 daughters. The tragic account is you can't even really even think about what the pain and suffering is in that situation. But I wanted to run a race in honor of them. And what we do is carry a flag for a lost loved one. So there was 20. A lot of people said, well, you can't carry 20 flags. You're going to have to just have them at the finish, and you're just going to have to do it that way. I said, no, that's not going to work. I says, I'm getting 20 flags across this. So I decided to run a full marathon and do it. But I couldn't do it by myself. So I had to ask my friend Andy Laporta to help me. I says, hey, I got a question for you. I'm running a race for the the limo tragedy. Can you run it with me? He's like, no problem. I says, you got to carry 10 flags. So he carried 10, I carried 10 in backpacks, and we each flew a flag. So we had 22 altogether, actually.
For a marathon.
For a full 26 miler. Yep. And we did it. But the best thing was a lot of the families were able to come to the finish. So at the finish, I was able to present the families with the flags, and the race promoter that day was great. She gave me 20 medals to give to the families. So the families each got a medal and a flag. So once I presented all that and everything, I mean, I had no words. I had just run a marathon, but I didn't even know how to even, they of course were very thankful, but the best thing that ever happened was I became friends with them. And that's really the best thing that ever could happen. And I'll always have a huge part of my heart will always go out to them, and I'll do anything for any of them any day. So, you know, that was great. And I'm with them forever now. So, you know, my heart goes out to them, 20 people that day. It's just, it's unbelievable. To this day.
When you ran, did you feel
I totally did. I totally did. I says, they were with me. There's no question. There's no question, you're running along, and, again, here's a picture of, this is just a small picture of all of them. There's 20 faces here. You can see now, this was on my back. This is the actual photo that I had wore on my back. So 20 souls were with me that day. And after looking at this picture multiple times, I can tell you that every one of their faces pops in my head at some point, so yeah, it's pretty deep. You know what I mean? I mean, that race really, I mean, here's another one. This picture, this is Sherman Richardson. Now, Sherman, I ran for him and his son. This is his son, Larry. Okay. A mutual friend asked me if I could run this for her friend, and I did. Now, Sherman was leaving to go to work, and he kissed his wife, Joanna, goodbye. He said, I'm heading out. Love you. And now this is all right from her. I talked to her, and he left to go to work. And, she said about an hour later, she had the TV on, and she said she saw the news, and there was a bad car accident, and it was on a highway, and they zoomed in on the car, and she saw a picture of her car with the license plate. It was her car.
Wow.
And they said it was a fatality. Her husband was killed instantly that morning on his way to work by a drunk driver who was up all night. her son this was a separate, I don't remember the exact timeline, but her son, Larry, was down in doing cleanup for 9/11. And he had injured his leg. He was just helping, he volunteering. He injured his leg. He ended up dying from injuries from his leg. Some kind of an aneurysm or something. And she's telling me all this, and I'm like, your son and your husband, really? Really? But she's a very strong woman. She actually does talks about drunk driving and all that. And I'm like, she's keeping his spirit going. But I mean, these are the types of people that you talk to, and these are the things that happen. And I ran a 9-miler for those two. And Joanna's great. I'm friends with her. And the thing is, I've never met her. I've only talked to her, but I keep saying, when you're up this way, we're going to meet. I'm not done with her, but she's a wonderful woman. And I just applaud the strength some of these people have to keep going.
Right.
My other, when I did this one here, I did this last year. Donovan Ayotte, he was 24 years old. He died tragically in his home. He had a health situation. He was a West Crescent fireman, and he loved being a fireman. That was his thing. Well, I went to school with his dad. I graduated with his dad. When I saw that, that Donovan had passed, I just reached out, and that's how that race happened. But I wanted to do something a little bit different with him. So I had the idea that I would run in the turnout gear. So I ran in the fire gear. I did the 10-miler in the turnout gear, which was very difficult. And but I wanted to do something special. But what really made that day special was, we went to Dennis is his father and Camille's his mom. We went to Dennis's house, and Camille came out and said, "Mike, I want you to wear this." And she handed me his last helmet that he was a captain, and it was his last helmet. And she goes, "I want you to wear this." So I wore his helmet, and I ran in the gear and everything. And I remember running through streets, and people are like, here's a bunch of runners going by. Here's this guy in a
firefighter.
What in God's name? And it was like 80 something degrees.
It was a hot day, wasn't it?
It was hot. It was brutal. And I would stop, and I'd show them the picture on my back, and that's what I had. And I'm like, this is who I'm running for. And this is what's going on. So by the time I got done, a lot of people knew who he was, so that was another magical day. And the family was there at the end, and we had a great thing afterward, and had some drinks, had some laughs, and that's what it's all about. It's about celebrating them that day. And the flag brings unity. If we can do one good thing with it, as far as making them have that one day, I think it's a win, and like I said, I like to continue on with the things afterward, and hopefully that the connection, and that's the goal in the future. That's what I'm working on. So I'm working on it. As the angels come in and they keep coming in, the family grows. So we're all a family. I just got a woman who from another state who lost her 7-year-old son, drowned, and she said to me, "I love being a part of this family." And I said, that's what it is. That's what I want it to be. I want it to be that way. So it's going to take some time to grow it, and once they realize that I have no shame, I'll say anything. I throw it out there. I don't care. You know what I mean? Because realistically, if you keep things inside, it's not good. It's not healthy for anybody. So, just say it, just throw it out there, because there's going to be somebody else there that's going to, I know exactly how you feel. So that's probably the biggest thing that I want to see in the future of this.
I love it. Well, I love that you've taken this, flags for fallen. Is that?
Yep,
Yeah,
flags
right,
for
flags
fallen.
for fallen.
Yep.
That really is about running a race with a flag and made it. I mean, it's more than that, but you've taken that to a whole another level, that you've become a counselor, you've become a connector.
Yeah. I always tell people, I'm going to give you advice. It may be wrong,
Right.
but I'm going to give you advice. And that it seems to work.
Yeah.
It works for me,
Right.
whatever. Like I
Right.
said, I'm not a professional
Right.
or anything else. And it's not, none of it's about me. None of the runs or anything else are about me. It's about the families. And that's all that matters to me. And that's where your calling comes in.
Mhm.
This makes me feel good.
Mhm.
They're helping me. And if they can help each other in the
Right.
process, it's a win for everybody,
Right.
so your calling doesn't have to be your 9 to 5, because believe me, mine isn't. It's not. There's
Right.
nothing. The world today is just so, and most people's jobs are how much money I'm going to make, I'm going to spend. That's all they care about.
Right.
And money means nothing.
Right.
And your health means everything. And
Mhm.
if you can feel good and help somebody else, one of the things that I've heard the most is, I don't want my son or daughter to be forgotten. Well, I feel that same way myself. I don't want to be forgotten.
Mhm.
If I die tomorrow, I don't want to be forgotten. I want people to say he did something good. And believe me, I fixed probably thousands of cars, and none of those people are going to give a rat's what that I fixed their cars. They
Right.
don't care.
Right.
Nobody does. So I want to be remembered for this.
Yeah.
And that's basically it.
Right.
So
Right.
we'll do it all together. Welcome in. Come
Yeah.
on in.
Yeah. So if someone wants to maybe run with you, how do they connect with you?
Basically, Facebook. Just look me up on Facebook.
Mhm.
And if you want to, yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
I run with anyone. I don't
Mhm.
care. I'll so I'm on Facebook. And I invite people into the page that I run for.
Uh-huh.
So I kind of keep it that way, and then go from there. I don't know what's going to happen down the road,
Right.
but right
Right.
now I kind of wanted it at a certain level, and then kind of slowly see where it happens.
Right. Right. That
And
makes sense. Right.
it's just people that it grows quickly, though. I mean, when
Mhm.
you bring some people in, and then they have their friends or
Right.
whatever, they bring them
Right.
in. So
Right.
and that's fine.
Yeah.
But I also, before we go, I do
Mhm.
have some I have a very special race coming up
Mhm.
in April. It's a half marathon. I have 5 coming up, but in April I'm doing a race for Danielle Marceline. She's 17 years old. She passed away just a few weeks ago, in December, and she drowned. Um, it's a very tough situation. Mom and dad are on board on my page, and as you can imagine, they are struggling, like a lot of them. And I want to make that day special for her in them. So this one's tough.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
This one's really got me. So I'm gonna do a good job. I'm training hard, and
And when is that race?
it's in April. It's Helderberg to Hudson half marathon.
Mhm.
But she just when a mom sends you a video of their child, you see a video of them, and it hits you. There's no question.
Yeah.
There's no question.
Mhm.
But I'm there for them. I'm gonna do it. And we have the Harrison family tribute, which you're going to be joining me.
Mhm.
That's going to be great.
Mhm.
And I have a few others: 4th of July, Steve Baffy, Michael Broughton, and Andrea J. Morneau. So there's the 5 that I have right now. And more are still coming. There's still some other races, but
Yeah.
I have some wingmen that I can count on to help me out. My friend Annie Laporte is going to take to help me out with one of them, and we'll get it done. We'll get it done for the families. That's really all that matters.
Yeah. It seems like everything falls into place.
It does. It does.
Mhm.
Everything always falls into place.
Mhm.
It's a lot of planning. It's a lot of, worrying because you want everything to work out.
Right.
But when it's all said and done, it does.
Yeah.
It really does,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
basically that's where I'm at. And it's been great.
If somebody's watching or listening that either just wants to connect because maybe they have been in a situation and or maybe they have a loved one that they would love to see if you have a spot to run for them. Again,
Well,
Facebook is that the best way to connect, and we'll put this in the show notes as well.
Oh, sure.
So,
I would just connect, send me a friend request and
Okay.
go from there.
Yeah.
Because once you send me a friend request, then you can message me and just say, look,
Yeah.
this is a situation, and we'll go from there.
Mhm.
If you're out of state, the Flags for Fallen actually has a Facebook page.
Okay.
So, we have other runners in other states. So they would be closer to where you are.
Okay. We'll put that link in the show notes too.
Yeah.
Then.
Yep. So, we do have runners in other states, and so yeah, we try to keep it. Like I said,
Mhm.
the founder will ask me, like I did do a race this past just a few months ago for Herb Brooks.
Oh, right. Yeah.
He was the
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that one up.
yeah, Herb Brooks. This was really
This
great.
is a good one to finish with.
Yeah, we're gonna finish with Herb Brooks. It was a great day. We ran the Stockade-a-thon for Patty Brooks. Patty Brooks was Herb's wife. Now, I was asked to run a flag in memory. He's the Miracle on Ice coach, in case anyone doesn't recognize his name. 1980. I decided, well, to make it special, I'm gonna make a team of hockey players. So I drafted a bunch of my running friends and said, hey guys, you want to buy yourself a jersey? We're going to run. And they did.
Yeah.
And it was a magical day because we had some runners that hadn't run the distance at all. Some were, wasn't even sure they could do it. Everybody was working together, helping each other, just like the real team did. And awesome. It was amazing. We ran in a formation. So we ran as a team, we finished as a family. That's what I said.
I love it.
And we even inspired some people along the way that finished.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was incredible.
That's great.
So that's some of the runs you do once in a while that, and then I sent the flag to Patty, his wife, and she sent me a picture of the flag that I carried that day with her grandkids.
Aww.
And so I mean, that's pretty cool.
Right.
Someone of his celebrity, you might
Right.
say.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty cool that you could do that, and his grandchildren had the flag that you
Right.
carried. So that was really neat, and it made my day. It was on Thanksgiving that she sent me that, and it's like, wow. That was really cool.
You never know. You never know what's going to transpire.
No. It's been a blessing. It's been a blessing. And as long as I can keep running, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep going. And, just God willing, I guess someday if I can't run, I'll walk them, I guess, I'll roll them down. I'll do something.
Somebody.
Yeah.
I love it.
There's no question.
That's great. And, I hope that for those of you listening to Mike's story that, we wanted for you to hear this amazing work that he's doing, but two, to also, if you are thinking like, oh, calling has to be a career, a job, all those things. It doesn't have to be. So lean in like Mike did, just be open.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Just be open to what might transpire out there. You may find your calling in the least expected places.
Don't think, just do.
Yeah. So, Mike, thank you so much.
Oh, anytime. I'll come back anytime and talk. I have no trouble talking.
Thank you.
Thanks.